Hi, everybody. I'm Tim with Higher Life, and today I'm with author Bob Boguslaw talking about his book, Keys to the White House and Other Stories of a Gig Warrior. And today is just to give you an insight and a heart behind this book and to hear some of the stories and experiences Bob had so that you can pick up this book and read it for yourself. So, Bob, thank you so much for being with me today.
Pleasure.
So, Bob, tell me what benefit this book will deliver to the reader. How will your book inspire them, help them um, in this time?
Yeah, I feel like I really intended the book to document a lifestyle and a career path in the late 19th century, excuse me, in the late 20th century and early 21st century of a freelance musician. Uh, I think that the message that I was hoping would get across to people is that persistence and determination and dedication, despite peaks and valleys in one's life and one's career, can pay off in the long run. And then just trying to live a good life can truly pay off as well when looking back on it. So I think that I think I have documented uh, it, what is going to become, I think, a thing of the past, which is a career freelance musician. So,
That's fantastic. Who do you see as the ideal reader of this book? Um, and how do you think they'll benefit from this?
it's a pretty specialized person that this would that would relate to everything in this book, because there are things in the book about being a musician and developing as a musician and the education and the the experiences and the interpersonal connections one gets at, as a professional musician and as an aspiring professional musician. But then there's also aspects of the military and the history of the White House, things that happened between 1991 and 2013, when I was an active member of the President's own United States Marine Band. Uh, those things, those are sort of, in general, two different readerships. However, they cross over, and I think it's a really interesting look at both history and music and uh, sort of the inner life and aspirations of a musician.
Absolutely. What was your motivation for writing this? What made you decide, you know what, I'm going to take these stories and share these with people?
That would be my wife. that's the that's the short answer. The longer answer is, for years I would come home and tell my wife about things that had happened to me at the White House or events that I had been, however peripherally, a part of in my capacity as a pianist with the President's own Marine Band. And my wife would say, she would say, geez, you really should write this stuff down. You should start writing these things down so you don't forget. And about 2 years before I got out of the Marine Band, I finally started taking her seriously. And because I was in my mid 50s, I was thinking sooner or later I'm going to start forgetting some of these things. And if you do read the book, if I'm your, you know, if you do read the book, you'll find that I get pretty detailed about some events, and uh, those things are accurate the way I remember them. They're not manufactured. Um, and I started writing them down, and then it crossed my mind that it might be interesting for the reader, rather than just an endless litany of stories about the White House or dignitaries or presidents, which in itself is interesting, without a doubt, but it might be interesting to see where I had come from, and to see, and I thought the theme I thought of the book was that one theme that would make this fascinating would be to have this person who in 1981 was playing at Gill's Key Pub till 4 in the morning playing country music, or was traveling South America with Jose Luis Rodriguez, El Puma, in 1985 and playing shows in soccer stadiums. And then a few years later, this same person is sitting at the piano in the private residence of the White House with Presidents George H.W. Bush and President Gorbachev standing in the well of the piano in front of me. That journey, how I got from one place to the other, and then what happens once I had arrived, I think are the probably the most fascinating aspects of the book. Anyone who wants a sort of bird's eye view, um, of fly in the wall view of what goes on at the White House. Uh, there's nothing prurient in it, though. I don't want to, nothing, no tell-all kind of things, but being there at events, such as receptions for the families of the victims of Flight 93 after 9/11, or for the inauguration night of President Obama, or the NATO, what was it, the 50th NATO during the Clinton administration, where I was literally in the state dining room with 26 world leaders and their spouses and nobody else, just myself playing the piano. And things like that, for somebody who wants this sort of, as I said, fly on the wall view of these things, I think it would be fascinating. So.
Wow, that is fantastic and incredible. Um, so what kind of impact are you hoping to have? What is the lasting impact and legacy of this book?
Oh boy.
It's a deep one.
Well, honestly, I wanted to leave this for my children and my grandchildren so that they could say, here's what dad did, or here's what grandfather did, or in years later, here's what great grandfather did. Um, Also, as I mentioned, to document this lifestyle, I don't believe that live music is going to die. People still love going to concerts. Um, People still, I still occasionally play concerts and things like that, and or attend them, and people with audiences still really uh, can get really excited by live music. However, this lifestyle where you take a keyboard and load it into a car and drive to a location and play, music that people know well, and people dance, or they're being entertained as they're having social interactions. I think that is, by the turn of the next century, is going to really be a thing of the past. And I think that's because people can access music very easily electronically nowadays. So I wanted to document what we do. That was one of the main purposes. Uh, I wanted the overall message of the book, as I mentioned, to really be encouraging to people. Because if you read this, you'll see that there are peaks and valleys all over the place. Where, as I mentioned, one day I'm working for dirt cheap wages in a country music bar, which is basically a biker bar, and there are fights and things, um, and then the next minute I'm on, next chapter I'm on stage playing for literally 100,000 people in Guayaquil, Ecuador. Um, and then even with the Marine Band years, there are peaks and valleys. There's places where you'll read about me struggling with dystonia, which is a condition that affected my right hand, and I've come out of this pretty positively, I think. So I think sort of the persistence, and dealing with things in a straightforward and ethical way when you have career issues and life path issues. I think those would be the messages I hope would stay with the reader.
Well, Keys to the White House and Other Stories of a Gig Warrior is available now. So, Bob, thank you so much for being with me today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. My pleasure.